Hello, and welcome to the C3 Method podcast with your host, Robert Polenic. Our goal is to educate you on everything health and fitness related with a clear, concise, and customized approach. We want you to know what you need to know and how to apply it in a way that fits you best. Today's podcast number 2287, we're going to be talking about goal setting, and we're going to be talking about specifically stretch versus snap goals. Why are we talking about this? Well, I had a client who snapped recently, and I wanted to share their experience and then how we talked in order to prevent that experience from happening again. And if you apply this information, you can prevent yourself from snapping. Essentially, what that means is you were working towards a goal. It didn't go as expected, so you just said screw it and you quit everything altogether. That's what we want to avoid. And part of us being able to avoid that is to avoid situations in which we set expectations, we set goals for ourselves that we just possibly can't meet. And when we don't meet it, we snap, we break, and we just end the process entirely. That's exactly what happened with this client. They were doing really well for a couple weeks with tracking their calories and protein. And we've been tracking distribution as well, but that's not been a main goal because calories and protein were challenging enough for them. And then we were getting into distribution, trying to have it relatively balanced throughout the day. So we're trying to avoid under-eating during the day and overeating at night. That contributes to a higher percent of body fat, even at the same weight. As if you were to switch the timing, you can lower someone's body fat percentage even if their weight doesn't change. So really fun compositional change you can make there. So we were doing that, and we were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, I logged into their nutrition app, and I noticed there was a day without any data. And they'd been doing like 3 weeks or so every single day. And I was like, oh, that's, it's interesting. Maybe they just had a rough day. I looked the next day, nothing. The next day, nothing. The next day, nothing. I'm like, what's going on, So I wrote in their journal, like all my one-on-one clients have an online journal, Google Doc, that's private to them. And I was like, hey, so-and-so, I said, hope you're doing well. I saw we haven't been adding any information to the nutrition app. If you can, let me know what's going on. It's okay if, you're just overwhelmed, you're stressed, maybe something came up, that's fine. I would just like to know so that way if there's something I can help you with, I can help you and we can get back on track. But I got nothing. They just ghosted me. So then I sent them a text message and I was like, hey, what's up? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're okay. I hope family's okay. If you're struggling at all, I don't want you to feel like you have to struggle alone. Please know that I'm here with you and I can help. There's often a lot of things that I've done for myself or for other clients that maybe could help in your situation. So when you get a minute, just let me know what's going on and I'll be happy to help. There you go. And again, nothing. Total ghost town. And it's like, oh man, you're just super bummed because you start to work with people, you want them to make progress, you're excited for them, and then whenever it doesn't work, you're just kind of bummed out, So then eventually I got a text message from them, and they said, I apologize. I just got overwhelmed with life, and I missed my breakfast, and this was on like certain date. So let's just say what day is, I don't know what day this is. We'll be listening to this. So 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, there you go. So 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, they're like, I missed my breakfast. I tried to make up for it on lunch, and then I ended up overeating at dinner. I lost the whole day. I got really depressed, and I haven't tracked since. That is a snap. That's a snap. And that's what we want to avoid. So I wrote back to him and I said, hey, totally understand. Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate that you wanted to open up communication. Let's figure out what we can do to get you back on track. So that's kind of the goal. That's what we wanted to do. That's why I want the communication so I can keep helping them. Essentially, what we started to do was to talk about their mindset. And what they said was that they had been doing so well for the weeks prior that when they missed breakfast, it was kind of like an oh my gosh, I made the first mistake. I did what I've always done. So there, it's like that, just the stories we tell ourselves, the mindset that we get into, the self-punishment, that world we put ourselves in, is she thought, well, I missed breakfast. This always happens to me. This is what I always do. I'm destined to be, lost forever, overweight forever. I'm never going to be successful. All these crazy thoughts get into her head. She said she tried to adjust lunch, but she got busy with lunch. She ended up overeating carbs, not getting any protein in. And then at dinner, she was ravenous. She had family dinner. There was, I guess, company or something coming over. It was just chaos. And then she said, I got through that day. I missed the day, and I realized this is what always happens to me Why do I even bother? And then the next day, she was no motivation to do anything. And that's essentially what we started to realize is she had the expectations that this time I hired a coach. I have a set program that was written specifically for me. We've talked through it all. We've figured out as much as we can ahead of time. Why didn't it just work? Like, why couldn't I be perfect? And I said, hold on. Whoa. What are those last few words there? Be perfect. I said, were you expecting perfection? And she said, yes. And I said, oh my God. How? How, why, what, when, just expecting perfection is wild. Absolutely wild. I can understand it because I've been in that mindset before, especially when I was younger. Even now, when I set certain goals, I'm like, damn, I don't want to mess up. I want to be perfect with this. So I still have that myself. But the drive to do our best is typically worded as, I would like to be perfect. But really, we want to be our best. Sometimes there are elements outside of our control that cause us to not be perfect to the plan or the program. And that was outside of our control. We couldn't do anything about it. So it's not our fault. It's not something we should blame ourselves for. We should just get right back on track. And then often there are things within our control we don't do. And it's just maybe we were not in that situation before. And then we look back and we're like, oh, crap, I could have done this, but I didn't do that. So now I'm a loser. So now I'm going to quit. Or, yeah, I could have done something. I even knew what to do. I just didn't do it. That happens as well. There are going to be moments when we're not perfect. So what I shared with her was I have clients who are extremely successful in their individual disciplines. I've been fortunate to work with professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and that would be both sports and like aesthetics, like IFBB pros, natural pros, people who are elite total in powerlifting and international elites and even above that. People who you would look at them from the outside and you're like, oh my gosh, they're perfect. They have everything I want. They're absolutely perfect in everything they do. How can I be that way? Well, hint, hint, they're not perfect. Sorry to say. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. They make mistakes. Their mistakes are small and infrequent, and they usually learn from their mistakes and very rarely make the same mistake twice, but they make mistakes. Especially in business, if you look in business, there's never been a successful business that made perfect choices from start to finish, from start to success. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone just, like the goal is to learn from the mistake and how can I get better from this experience? So you don't even have to call it a mistake, just call it an experience. How can I get better from this experience? What can I learn from this experience that'll improve my chances of getting through this experience the next time with a better outcome? That's the goal. That's what we're looking to do. So our goal is to make progress, not to be perfect. So a SNAP goal is often something that's black or white. It's this or that. It has no room for allowance of error or variation. It's this or it's nothing. All or nothing. Those are SNAP goals. We want to avoid SNAP goals. Instead, we want to look for stretch goals. Stretch goals are something that is more than I'm currently doing, but it's reasonable that I could probably do it. So if I don't track any meals whatsoever and I have no clue what my calories are, I might have a stretch goal of, let me track one meal a day for the next week. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack, who cares? When I eat something, at least once in the day, I'm going to look up how many calories was in this so I can start to get used to doing that and getting familiar with that process. So you do that for a week. Maybe you do it pretty well. So the next week you're like, okay, I did that fine. I'm going to go to 2 meals. The next week I'm going to do all my meals. But maybe during that week you miss a day, you miss a couple meals here or there. Maybe you end up missing 3 meals that week. And you're like, you know what? I'm still doing really well. Let me see next week if I can do the same. Maybe instead of missing 3 meals, I'll see if I can, miss less than 3 meals. Maybe I only miss 2 or 1 or none. It'd be great if I could do none. But as long as it's 3, or similar or less, that would be great. So that's a stretch goal is where am I at now? What's a little bit beyond what I'm currently doing, but it's reasonable that I could do it. Those are the type of goals we want to set. They often feel like they're not significant enough. The all or nothing, the SNAP goals are the big, enticing, exciting ones where you're like, oh man, if I could do that, everything is different. Everything changes. Everything improves. My world is new and brand new and I can reach my goals as fast as possible. There's this dream world that we create around SNAP goals. The problem is it's a dream. And reality is very rarely dreamlike. There are things outside of our control. There are things within our control that we mess up. It's a messed up, mucky, kind of gray world. So we want to avoid black and whites. Stretch goals are stuff where if I can do this, great. If I can do better, even better. So that's one of the things I like about a stretch goal is I like saying this is what I want to do, but if I can do better than that, I'll allow myself to do better than that, and I'll be excited about it. So it's not like a minimum goal, but it's a goal that I think I can do it. Maybe I'll fall short. If I fall short, I'll figure out why, and I'll adjust it, and I'll get it next week. Maybe I reach it. Or maybe I can find out I can actually do a little bit more, so I will go ahead and do a little bit more. So a stretch goal is obtainable. The characteristics of a stretch goal is it usually has variableness in how we meet it. Meaning there's a couple options that still allow us to get to the end outcome. It's not black or white. It's not this or nothing. It's, if I can't do it this way, I can maybe do it this way. If I can't do it that way, maybe I can do it that way. A really good book for this is Elastic Habits by Stephen Guise, Guise. It talks about creating levels of how to meet a certain goal. He uses the word tiers, Tiers. So there's the best day scenario, an okay day scenario, and then the worst day ever scenario. And as long as you're doing one of those three things, you're moving forward, you're making progress, that's the goal. So stretch goals are what allows us to stretch our current position, make improvements, but be able to continue to do that over time. And we stretch bigger and bigger and bigger, get better and better and better. Stretch goals have variance. They have variable ways that you can reach them. They're gray. They're not black or white. And often stretch goals, they focus on progression rather than performance, meaning I'm hoping to do this, and then next time I'm going to hopefully do this and a little bit better. Next time, this and a little bit better. Rather than I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect, I have to be perfect every single time. So we want progression over perfection. We want goals that allow for variety of options to be able to meet them, and goals that allow for errors and mistakes and adjustments, and being able to learn from the experience to continue to make those improvements over time. So when you're setting goals for yourself, say, does this allow for me to have errors and mistakes? Does this allow for things not to be perfect? Does this allow me to have multiple ways to reach this goal? Do I at least have two options to meet this goal? And does this focus on progress, not perfection? If you can set your goals up in that way, those are stretch goals. Those are the type of goals that are going to allow you to make long-term progress. Those are significantly better goals than the snap goals, which we tend to get enticed by because, if I can do this, I can get everything I want right away. It's not usually the case. One of the nice things about Elastic Habits is you can have the best day scenario. And that could be the day where maybe things do go perfect and you reach that ultimate element for the day. But then you have those good days and the crappy days. For when things are outside of your control, you can at least have a good day. Even then, when things are in your control but you just make bad choices, you can at least have a crappy day scenario. So you can at least make progress in some way. So that would be a great way for us to set up our goals, is to make sure that we establish stretch goals, not snap goals, and that allow us to make long-term progress. Awesome. If you have any questions, if you need anything, you can reach out on our website, which is www.c3method.com. The 3 is spelled out T-H-R-E-E, so C-T-H-R-E-E method.com. You can reach out to us there. You can also find us on Instagram and YouTube under the name C3 Method. If you need anything, I hope you always reach out. I hope you know I'm always available and I'm always happy to help. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.